Erie County and beyond, maybe. I am H.B. Stedham, the executive editor of the Times Journal, and you're here with Get with the Times. I am super excited today to have a lovely acquaintance of mine, Nathan Davis, who is the, what do we say, president, owner, CEO, manufacturer, all of it?
Yep.
Of Kaywoodie Pipes.
Yes.
Now, it's so cool because, first of all, people should know that when we say pipes, we do mean these kind of pipes,
Yes.
right? And not like maybe PVC that runs to your house.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, but 175 years this year.
It's our 175th anniversary. Yep.
So it started in what year? I can't do math.
1851.
1851.
Yep. It's 1851 to 2026. A little 175th anniversary tamper.
This is a what now?
Tamper. You tamp the ash down while you're
ash down
smoking to keep the heat where it needs to be.
This is amazing.
And then it has the hidden original logo of KB&B, which is the question you asked. So Kaywoodie originally was Kaufman Brothers and Bondi. And so in 1851, some immigrants, the Kaufman brothers, had dealt with pipes before. So in America, they see that there's a market. And initially, they start doing meerschaum pipes like these guys. It was super popular in the times. Briar hadn't taken off. No other woods were good for it. So they became meerschaum pipe importers in in the Bowery of New York City.
Yeah.
And the one brother decided to head west and follow the gold rush and pick up customers along the way and sell the pipes. And back home, they picked up Bondi, was the third partner in the firm. And they started doing a little bit of their own pipe making and pipe repair and opened up a pipe shop. So over the years, the three of them worked together, and late 1800s is when briarwood, it's the root burl of a white heather. So it grows all along the Mediterranean. The French were really the first ones to discover that this wood was incredibly resistant to burning. And so they started making pipes in France, is kind of the story as I've gone through all the old KB&B paperwork. So as briar became the thing and they became much more of manufacturers than resellers, as they were making their own pipes, they decided to make an homage to themselves and a pipeline. So there used to be KB&B Thorn, KB&B, all these different pipelines. One of them they called Kaywoodie. K for the KB&B, Woody because they were shifting so much to briarwood. And so that was launched in 1919 as just a line of pipes. And
Sure.
By 1921 or so, everybody preferred the name Kaywoodie. And the whole company just started going by Kaywoodie, and everything was renamed to Kaywoodie Thorn, Kaywoodie Drinkless, and all the lines got Kaywoodie before it. And the original Kaywoodie line just became the parent of everything.
Gosh, I have a million questions. Like, this is so fascinating. Were they here, located in this area?
So we have been in New York State since 1851. It was down in New York City, and in fact, we were on Fifth Avenue in the whatever shopping center. Most of the history was like right out in the open in the main areas. We had multiple offices after a while, London and other locations.
Wow.
But then as the pipe boom shrunk and cigars took over and everything was going down, they had downsized over the years, especially 60s, 70s is when you see a big shrink. And that's also when they start moving further and further upstate.
Wow. So now, when did Nathan Davis come into the Kaywoodie landscape?
As the owner 2 years ago, but in 2019, I had a 13-year legal career and was unhappy with my work after a while. I had worked on semiconductors and in the nanotech industry. And as all of that shifted overseas, I got thrown into pharmaceuticals. And while I could do the work, I didn't like sitting in board meetings and seeing medications shut down because of funding when they were doing really great things for people. And I realized that I was no longer proud of what I did.
Sure.
So I quit my job one day to sell Kaywoodie pipes, and I opened a company called Graywoodie. When I had gone to the last owner, Bill Feuerbeck, I was like, why are these pipes so hard to get? I know you, so I can buy them from you, but when I hop online, there are no online retailers. And he said, well, Kaywoodie's never sold direct. I only sell to customers who resell. And I said, but why aren't they online? He's like, I don't know. I guess I only have brick and mortar stores. And so that's what I did. Was I started an entirely online retail company right here in Cobleskill. It was in the upstairs office over there. And I went from being a Kaywoodie retailer to selling so many pipes that he couldn't keep up with his other customers, and one by one fired all of his other retailers until I was the only Kaywoodie retailer.
Wow. And
Which,
then 2 years ago, you said, "Why don't I just do the thing?"
yeah, so it kind of backfired.
Oh
The taking over was meant to be 10 years from now or so, but he had a pretty crazy health scare,
no!
and so he wound up in a medically induced coma
Oh,
that he didn't come out of when they stopped inducing the coma.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's okay though. So there was a year of craziness, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was selling what I had left in stock. I was secretly making some Kaywoodies. I had enough equipment then still to, and I had my own line of Graywoodie pipes, which were just Kaywoodies rebranded. I made them next to him. So for a little while, I used my own shop. That one's down in the basement, and pumped out some Kaywoodies and just kind of pretended that Bill was the one behind it to get through that year. And so when I took over, it was rushed. He came
Sure.
out of the coma. His hands don't work right anymore, and he realized he could never be a pipe maker again.
Got
So
it.
he asked me to rush the takeover, and so it just happened a lot faster than meant.
Yeah.
Um, but it was always meant to be. He was the fourth generation in his family to own this company, and his kids wanted nothing to do with it. They went on to be
Huh.
engineers and whatever.
So you started off selling Kaywoodie pipes
Yep,
as a retailer,
yep.
and then you started to make some pipes along with him just because you found it interesting
Yeah, so I had started making handmade pipes before that as a hobby.
as a hobby.
Yeah, it was NQA Pipes was a brand that I did, and I had done a few pipes here and there, and then I trained under a guy in North Carolina, Heisenberg Pipes, and learned how to do more hand making. But then as I worked with Bill and saw the sheer quantity of Kaywoodies coming out, I'm like, there's got to be a trick to this. And he was like, well, of course there is. So the shop where he was in New Windsor, so it was only 2 hours away. So I'd go down to New Windsor and he'd show me everything on literally this equipment. That's the surreal part of it. And taught me how to do batch processing and how to put everything together and do the same step over and over. And so I went from making like two or three handmade pipes here and there to making 7 a week, 10 a week,
Oh,
12 a week.
wow.
And then he taught me how to do even more production. And that's when the Graywoodie pipeline came out, and I started doing full production pipes. And Graywoodie was able to produce, 50 at a time.
Wow. So was Gray Woody a direct play on Kaywoodie then,
Yeah,
the name?
yeah. I had to get his permission when I started Graywoodie.
Yeah.
I was really well known on all the pipe forums and all the internet places as Crash the Gray, just an old username going back to high school, referencing both the Hackers movie and Lord of the Rings.
I
Um,
love it. Nerds unite.
yep. So that had been my name for so long that people knew me as both Crash or Gray. And so when I'm looking at names for my company, I'm like, Graywoodie is a really amusing play on this. But I did get his explicit permission
Fantastic.
because it would be confusing to the consumer.
Sure.
But we had a very open relationship about I am a retailer who sells Kaywoodies, he is the producer.
Got
So we
it.
had a definitive line between
So
us
Gray Woody
for a time.
sold Kaywoodie pipes at
Yep.
first, and then Gray Woody started producing some pipes,
Yep.
and then now you own Kaywoodie.
Yep.
So is
Yep.
Gray Woody still in there somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, Kaywoodie doesn't sell direct, so I kept Graywoodie open so I can sell the pipes to myself and then resell them as a retailer.
Fascinating.
But I quickly learned he was producing like 1,000 pipes a month, and I've been pushing that up to 2 or 3,000, or not a month, a year.
Okay.
Sorry.
I know. I got it. That was a little astounding.
No, he was doing 1,000 a year. So I've been pushing it to 2 or 3,000, trying to ramp it back up. He had done it for 30 years. He was
Tired.
set in his ways, a little
Yeah,
tired.
yeah.
So when I came in, I was like, I need to ramp up production. So I mentioned it bit me. He'd fired all of his retailers, so now I'm coming in with no retailers but myself.
I see.
And so Graywoodie stayed open to sell the pipes, but then retailers started seeing what I was doing with the company, and one by one they started coming back to me going, "Hey, I used to buy from Bill. I'm willing to buy from you, even though you put me out of the business for it.
LOL.
So now as I pick them back up, I realize I cannot produce 3,000 pipes a year, take them, list them, sell them individually, pack up boxes for a week at a time, sending out
Oh
orders when I
yeah.
want to be down here making the next batch.
Right.
So now Graywoodie is where I run the sales just because it's already established. So
Sure.
for all my wholesale customers, they get an invoice through Graywoodie, and then special projects like these meerschaums, they'll wind up on Graywoodie from time to time, and little one-offs and the handmaids that you saw floating around.
That's it. So
Um,
you can buy direct through internet,
yep, yeah.
or you
So
can go to one of your retailers.
yeah, so the Kaywoodie website shows you what's available. It's really meant for the retailers to buy from,
Okay.
and to see what's available. So Graywoodie is a specialty market for all the things that don't
Got
fit
it.
with another retailer.
You know what's fascinating is that, when you're on the outside of an industry, you don't always understand like 1,000 pipes to produce 10. Is that what you said? Or
100,
a
yeah,
100
like
pipes to produce 10?
roughly 10% would meet that top super grain quality line.
And you just don't realize like the extent of like how many stores there are, how many retail places, like how
Yeah.
many. It's just so fascinating to understand. Like you just got back from a pipe conference,
Yeah,
right?
yep. I was just in Chicago doing the largest pipe show of the year. But I'll do anywhere up to 9 or 10 pipe shows a year, as well as I run one in Albany. My co-host of
Really?
my podcast is my co-runner of Capital Land in Albany, June 27th,
June
coming right up.
27th. We'll make sure that we highlight that for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
please, that'd be great.
Tell me about what a pipe conference is.
So, Chicago's a great example. There are 200 to 300 tables in a ballroom. So it's not like big industry conferences where they take up the huge space. We tend to do ballroom to grand ballroom. So Chicago will have around 200 to 300 tables.
So at the conferences, are they like open to the public? Are they just industry insiders? How
Yeah,
does this
no. So
work?
there is one, and I don't actually attend that one because that's to get bigger retailers, and I'm trying to keep up with what I do as it is. So there is one that is just industry.
Hmm.
But the rest, there's Chicago, Las Vegas, Muletown, Capital Land, the new Indiana one, a bunch of them across the country that are regional shows to highlight a lot of the people in the area that make stuff. So they are open to the public, and some of them are free, some of them are up to $50 to get in. Um, Capital Land stays free forever because I want them to spend money with my vendors who are
That's what
there.
I was thinking, right? Is that
If
the
they're
less they
already
pay up front, the more they're going to pay when they're
Yeah,
there.
and the vendors are paying to be there. So you
Got
should
it.
have covered your bills from your
That
vendors.
makes
Your
sense.
attendees should be paying your vendors to
That,
be
ma-
there, so they're happy.
that makes total sense.
But the bigger shows, I get it. They're talking about $50,000+ to have the conference at all.
That
So
is
they
so
charge
wild.
their attendees too.
Wow. So what first interested you? You said you made pipes just as a hobby, like
Yeah.
before. So what first drew you to making pipes?
So I guess I was in yeah, as a younger person. I was in bands and having rehearsals and smoking cigarettes and drinking. And one day I was like, this is not for me. And to transition out of cigarettes, I picked up a random pipe that I had in college, and had gone with one of my Scotch buddies and gotten like we call them now basket pipes, the cheap ones that are just out,
I got it
especially at head shops, that don't really deal in major tobacco.
for sure.
So I get a pouch of some aromatic tobacco and a little pipe, and it goes around with me. So I'm like, oh, you know what? While everybody's outside having a cigarette, I'm going to light up my pipe. And then you quickly transition to a Missouri Meerschaum Cobb because they're affordable and you know what you're getting into. And then you start looking for the briars. So I was just kind of transitioning off of cigarettes, and I was at a flea market and saw this old pipe, and I'd read up a little bit. But as I'm looking at this pipe at a flea market, I unscrew it, and I'm like, okay, that's an old Kaywoodie neat. And I noticed that there is a different number of holes in the ball based on the era that it was made. And I'm like, oh, I don't know a lot, but I know this is a really old one. And I talked the guy down to like $5. And it turns out that was my first like highly collectible Kaywoodie. It was a 1937 certain line, everything about it. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I accidentally got one of these. So then I studied the entire history of Kaywoodie and went crazy with it. And shortly after that, I found out there was an entirely different thing besides the conferences. There was a Kaywoodie holiday party for many years in the factory, but it had moved to a fish and game club and became kind of a party and small pipe show. But what they really did there was a slow smoke contest. And so, in order to go to that show, you had to buy the slow smoke pipe and compete in this contest.
And
And
what are the rules of this contest?
it's very particular. Everybody's given the same pipe.
Same pipe.
These
Okay.
are actually rejects. I made the national pipe this year. Chicago has the national contest. It's run by the United Pipe Clubs of America, of which I'm the vice president and have been for 8 years.
Dude.
So I made this is a 1940s finish that I did as a re-release for the 175th anniversary. They got a new Kaywoodie 175th stamp and then the UPCA Chicago. So everybody gets an identical pipe. I didn't compete this year because I made the pipe, and I'm the regional record holder for the old Northeast, which was always Kaywoodie. So I win on Kaywoodies. I made the Kaywoodie, and I designed it the way I want a contest pipe to work. So I refused to compete this time.
Because you had all the inside information.
Yeah, and I just watched it as a full circle moment. But you get the exact same pipe as everybody in the room, and then they pick a tobacco, whoever's running the show, the contest, and you get exactly 3 grams of tobacco, which is 3/4 of this, maybe. It's not a
Okay.
lot of tobacco.
Okay.
Everybody gets 2 matches
Yeah.
and a piece of paper and a dowel for a tamper. And so you light your pipes. There's a little bit more in there, but you light your pipes, and then whoever can keep it lit the longest without, there's no relight.
So you said you're the Northeast
Regional
record holder,
Yeah,
and that would be
an hour and 40. So a good time is up to an hour. The winners are over an hour typically. There are years that everybody has trouble. But yeah, you want to break that hour mark usually to do well. So the United Pipe Clubs of America are an overarching national organization that helps coordinate all the pipe clubs across the country.
Yeah.
But their real purpose when they started was to do slow smokes. And so our first president was Vernon Vig, and he started it 25 years ago. I think next year's our 25th. And so he ran it for a long time and organized all these slow smokes. And so we have them in all these shows. The Northeast Regional was the Hudson Valley Pipe Club originally at Kaywoodie, because that's where Bill was a member. Vernon let it spread, and then there's international competitions on top of that. And that's why Chicago is our national. We try to send the winner to Europe to compete in the international. I was mentored by this guy named Doc, and so he was always at the Northeast Regional. And the year I set the record was the first year I beat him. And I looked over as his pipe went out, and his face lit up.
Because he was excited.
Yeah,
for you?
he was so happy for me. And then after everything was done, I smoked so long that I went up, got my trophy, got my prize, and then let other people start getting their prizes because the timer was still going for me. And it's kind of uncouth to do that, but I was new to it and was like, I don't care. I'm going to take the highest time I can get. Now I know usually you go out like 5 minutes after the last person, but he was happy. He was so thrilled to see that. So after that, he came up to me and said, "Hey, I've been looking for my replacement," and I knew nothing about the UPCA then. He was like, "I'm the vice president of this UPCA. We run all of these. You seem to enjoy it. It's like your 5th or 6th year doing this, and because you won this one, you get a free entry in Chicago." And it just so happened that that was the year I started my company. So Kaywoodie went to Chicago for the first time, got elected in as vice president, and got to compete at the national contest for free.
Amazing. So have you ever won a national one?
I've never won a national, and it's because I so quickly moved into an administrative role
Got
that
it.
I put a lot more time into running the nationals than competing. But now I'm
Understood.
starting to switch back to, we have a really great board now. We've had changes through our elections. Sad part of that story, Doc passed away this year,
I'm
so I
sorry.
just gave his memorial speech in Chicago. And that kind of reinvigorated me. I was like, you know what? I'm vice president, but also he was competing and running things. So
Yeah.
next year I'm going back to competing on the national level and helping run it. Because while I haven't won the national as a record holder, I got to go 2 years ago to Poland, which is where my family's from, and represent America at the Polish run international World Cup of smoking.
That is so cool.
Yep. So this business has literally taken me across the world and gotten me into all these crazy things.
Wow. Okay, so I have to ask, what's the national record then?
The national record, I found out later, was only a few minutes past mine. I think an hour and 53.
Wow, it's like 6 minutes difference.
Yeah, something like that. And
You can do it. Start training.
but the international records go over 2 hours. It's
Over
nuts.
the same 3 grams?
Yep,
Same?
yep.
Two
Yeah,
hours.
Americans are kind of like the underdogs. There are a couple Italians. The Russians were banned for a while. A lot of our rules are
Too
allegedly
many
from.
steroids.
Yeah. Well, you can't blow down the stem of the pipe to keep your pipe lit, and you're only allowed to drink water for the first, or you can't drink anything for the first 10 minutes, and then only water. And apparently, all these rules come from like people putting lighter fluid in their cups and all this crazy stuff. So when I look at the rules and I'm like, this makes no sense, guys like Doc and Vern would be like, oh, back in 1974, there was this guy who, and I was like, oh, there's a reason for these insane rules. Okay.
That is amazing. I love that so much. Nathan, tell me about some. You've mentioned this pipe right here that comes in the
Yes.
coolest little
Yep.
case in the world. Tell me about this pipe in particular.
So for the 175th anniversary, one of the big things I wanted to do was Kaywoodie started in Meersham, moved to Briar.
Okay, is
And
Meersham is a place in New York? 'Cause I've heard you
oh
say
no,
Meersham a whole
Meersham is
lot.
the material. That's why it's white. So
Oh, and that
this
what is
is
Meersham then? Is it like a
it's a
resin?
mineral.
It's a
And
mineral.
so it's a naturally occurring mineral. Meersham translates roughly to seafoam. And it looks like seafoam. It's this white, cloudy, big chunk that floats, and that's part of it. And so the Turkish, in particular, started harvesting this material and turning it into pipes. And they color very quickly. They turn this golden brown color over time, and especially the shank will color, and then the bowl slowly after that. And so they're really kind of an exciting material. You can smoke different tobaccos out of it without it tasting like the last tobacco, which a lot of people dedicate their
Oh,
briars to genres of tobacco. So that one is only a month old and has already taken on that much color in it.
wow.
And so they're
And
highly collectible for that feature.
and I love that it says Kaywoodie
Yep.
175th on there.
So after we got into Briar, the Turks kept making these pipes, and in 1974 or so, they actually, to protect their artists, they banned the export of raw meerschaum. So the only way to get a custom pipe like this in meerschaum is to get it from Turkey. So after 1960 something, Kaywoodie stopped making meerschaum pipes. And I'm like, well, that's where we started, and then we
Yeah, for
dropped it in the
sure.
60s. So I worked with a friend of mine who is a meerschaum dealer in the U.S. who works directly with the carvers in Turkey. And so I took this shape is called a bulldog. So I took one of my personally made Kaywoodie bulldogs off my table and handed it to him and said, "Take this to Ahmet, who's the carver, and have him copy this exactly.
Yeah,
And I want a batch of these, and I'm going to stamp them." So I'd stamped the Kaywoodie and the clover on the stem like I do with my briars, and got the little sticker too because they put their own carver sticker in it. So I got a nice Kaywoodie sticker to shove in there, and they produced the first batch, and it was so perfect. I launched them in Chicago. That a friend of mine came up with a Kaywoodie bulldog from 1920s, and we're looking at them like these are almost identical. Like
that
I
is
know what I'm doing. This is cool. And I put
wow.
it in the case, and the briar fit as perfectly in the case as that. So he copied my pipes exactly. So they're truly Kaywoodie. They're carved after my shape, everything I did to it, and
Yeah,
then imported here in batches. And then I stamp them and quality control and do some waxing and
for
everything.
sure. So the only place you can get meerschaum now is Turkey.
Yep, yep.
Wow. Now, what does the clover mean? Is that just the Kaywoodie symbol, or?
So yeah, on your tamper, it was originally the only reason they're not Irish or anything
Oh,
crazy
I
like that.
got
It
it.
was Kaufman Brothers and Bondi, KB&B. And
Yes.
over the years they dropped the letters, and the old clover was with the bump on it,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
we've shifted to the circular. And I mean, this was 1930-40 when we kind of shifted to that style of the clover. So the clover is a throwback to Kaufman Brothers and Bondi, and then the tamper has the old version of the clover.
Oh, now is this like a limited edition then? How many?
Yeah, currently, I did under 50 in Chicago, and I just got another batch in. Um, I think there will be regular Kaywoodie meerschaums, but it will probably continue to be different shapes at a time.
Okay. So, do you have a favorite pipe style
Yeah,
material? Like, I don't know. What
yeah,
do you? What's your?
down to everything. So this in particular is the first pipe I bought from Bill when I discovered the new Kaywoodies and not just the vintage. But that entire style, minus the carving, it's called a Lovat, Lovat, and what it means is it's a billiard, which is your very standard stack like this,
Okay.
with a straight shank coming off. If you elongate the shank a little bit and
Yeah.
then put the saddle stem on it, that's called a Lovat. That is my favorite shape in any finish. And when I when I went to Bill and started buying new Kaywoodies, my first question was, because everybody on the internet says, "Oh, the 1940s pipes are the best." So I had a lot of those, and I said, "What makes current Kaywoodies as good as the old ones?" Everybody says they're not as good, and I loved Bill because his answer was, "I don't know." I was like, "What do you mean you don't know?" He's like, "I don't care. Buy it or don't."
Oh my lord!
So
I
I bought
love
it because that's
that.
the best sales technique in the world for me.
Anything else you think I need to know about pipes?
Understanding briar and the root burl and it growing in the Mediterranean, that's 95% of pipes in the world. Meerschaum is um, a close second, being like a few percent,
Yeah.
with corn cobs being another major one. And then everything else, you'll find them at weird smoke shops and stuff. Those other materials just don't hold up. These, I have 100-year-old pipes, and I can still smoke them every day. That's the beauty of briar, is it will you could I'm gonna have hundreds of pipes to pass down to my family. Hopefully they sell and make money, but not counting what I make, I have hundreds in the collection.
Wow. So, if someone wants to buy a Kaywoodie pipe
the
today,
the
what would
best
you say?
place right now is Missouri Meerschaum at corncobpipe.com. So Missouri Meerschaum, who makes corncob pipes, created this Kaywoodie red root corncob. Red root's one of my most popular finishes. It's a sandblast like this. Anytime it's a really deep blast, I'll stain it one color and then sand it briefly to take all these ridges off and then do a brighter color over it. So we call it red root. It's this like orange with a black underlay. So they took that idea and created a corncob volcano for Kaywoodie. And then for them, Kaywoodie created a briar Missouri Meerschaum, and they really loved this Bing style, super long pipe. Bing Crosby smoked them, and that's where they got the name
Oh,
for the shape. But whenever I do something that's a collaboration for people, I tend to also do something ridiculous. And I said, "Oh, your Bing's not long enough." So there's a popular style of pipe called a church warden, and they put these long stems, and they're bent and hang down here. But I kept it
so you could
as a
be
straight
Gandalf?
Bing. Yeah, the Gandalf pipe is real. It's a lot of collectors. But so yeah, Missouri Meerschaum has these with their logo on the bottom, and so the Bing collaboration is huge. But with the Bing collaboration, they just got a huge shipment of Kaywoodie pipes.
These are beautiful,
Yep.
Nathan. They're
So
beautiful.
corncobpipe.com is main retailer right now that's well stocked.
I'm probably going to go there as soon as we're done here today because this is amazing. So, Nathan, what is the oldest pipe that you own?
Oldest is a 1919 Kaywoodie, one that can be dated to the very first use of the Kaywoodie name. It has the KB&B and the Kaywoodie and all the different branding that was coming together at the same moment. And old, it was right before they did the drinkless where it screwed in, so it has the big metal fitment, but it still pushes in. So there are different ways to age it, but that one has a bunch that lead it to be literally 1919 to 1921.
What's the most unusual pipe that you own?
Probably the most unusual is an olive wood, not briar. And there was a time where leather wrapped pipes were really popular. The same thing as these, the briar was really ugly. So they'd wrap it in leather. Longchamp was the big brand that did it. And it hid the briar but gave you the smoke qualities of it. This guy started carving olive wood and making it look like leather wrapping to the extent that it has a seam on it that sticks up, and he drilled tiny little holes and laced it like it was leather. and it looks like a softball, and then has that coming out of it. So that's probably my strangest.
But it's all wood.
Yep, and you wouldn't know it as long as you look at it. It's leather, and then the second you try to feel it, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
So, tell me who are some famous people that you know of that smoked or smoke Kaywoodie pipes?
Yeah, so one of the major ones is Babe Ruth. We have an old Kaywoodie advertisement with him swinging his bat, and everybody thought he was a different type of tobacco user. But then when you dig deep enough, there are pictures of Babe Ruth smoking specifically Kaywoodie pipes.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So if somebody watching this today wanted to get more information about pipes or you or what you do, what could they do?
So the best way is our podcast. My co-host Eugene Falco is another pipe maker. He makes Uncanny Material and Uncanny Briar pipes, which are also available on corncobpipe.com. He works at Secret Caverns as the manager there.
Oh.
And when I was transitioning into business for myself, I did some tours there, picked up some cash here and there, had some fun. We became friends. He was curious about the pipes. I taught him to make pipes, and he ran with it. And so we started the Kaywoodie Show, which is available on every platform imaginable. So it's a weekly podcast that comes out typically Sunday midnight, Monday morning time frame. So you can start your week and commute listening to us. And we talk, it's literally everything pipe, tobacco, pens, life, and everything in between. So we talk about pipes and tobacco. A lot of the pipe podcasts laugh at us because it might be 5 minutes of a 45-minute to an hour episode.
Sure.
Because we're also fountain pen nerds and we talk about that. He's an artist, so we get into the inks and the different drawing mechanisms. But we talk about everything.
Nathan, you have made me endlessly interested in at least trying a pipe.
Yeah.
How would I get started? What would I do? Where would I go?
So that is super simple. Diogenes Pipe Club is Eugene and I, once again. And so the last Saturday of every month, we're a hybrid club. We meet online on Zoom, and we meet right here in the Kaywoodie factory or lounge, and sometimes in my house, just because of weather. So the last Saturday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern, you can find Diogenes Pipe Club on Facebook. We have a Discord channel, Discord server for Kaywoodie, and all the information's there. But you'll find our meeting time, a Zoom link, and people are welcome to come here with a little heads up because this factory is my house too.
For sure, for sure. Very cool. Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I have learned so much. This is super cool. I had no idea that so much went into it. And just thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming out. I've been secretly in Cobleskill this whole time, and people are just discovering what's happening here. So
it's amazing. Well, and I'm going to tell you that your Kaywoodie Pipes and Nathan Davis, just part of what makes Schoharie County a great place to live. Thanks, folks, for tuning in.